Hey guys and gals, welcome to the Unsecurity Podcast. This is episode 78. The date is May 4th, 2020, and I'm Evan Francine. With me today is my co-host, Brad Nye. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning, Evan.
It is a good morning though, isn't it?
It is.
The sun's
Yeah,
shining. I think it's supposed to rain today.
yeah, it was nice this weekend, although windy.
Wow, yeah, it was windy. We'll talk about that. We have another good show planned for today. But before we jump in, we are going to do that. We're going to go ahead and catch up just like we normally do. This is Brad and I's chance to sort of catch up. So tell me about what'd you do this weekend?
Well, actually took Thursday, Friday off. I
Nice.
didn't work at all. It was nice. Just kind of relaxed. And Friday, my daughters had off, so we kind of hung out and did some stuff. And then this weekend, yeah, I got the chainsaw out, and as my youngest would say, I chainsawed some wood.
Chainsawed some wood.
He asked if he could do it. I'm like, you're 5, no.
Yeah, I think, and you have the beard for it, so that's good.
Yeah, I had on I ended up putting on like my fishing hat, the big brimmed hat, and I had my glasses on, and he's like, "You look like somebody you'd see in the woods and run away from."
Now, one of those guys.
Oh, okay. I don't know what that means, but okay.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
You mentioned it was windy this weekend. What did that do to you?
Saturday we didn't you couldn't really do anything. It was like 30, 35 mile an hour sustained winds on Saturday. So we were outside playing and doing some stuff, but yesterday was most of it. I didn't want to be trying to mess with bringing down trees and sawdust with that heavy of winds.
Yeah. We went on a couple of motorcycle rides. On Saturday, we went to a birthday ride. And then like some kid was having his birthday, so there were like 30 maybe bikers.
Wow.
Yeah, who drove by his house and and all revved up our Harley motors and woke up everybody in the neighborhood.
Very cool. They actually somebody had a birthday party in our neighborhood, and the local fire department had 2 fire trucks, an ambulance, and the sheriff come through the whole neighborhood.
Well, that's cool.
And yeah, we got the double dose because we live on a dead end, so they went and turned around and came back. So it was cool to see all the kids like losing their minds, excited. It's kind of
What
fun.
did Zach do?
It was a little loud for him. He had to process it. So he missed the first pass and kind of went inside. It freaked him out how loud they were, but what are you gonna do? He watched from the window and was okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a tough ride on Saturday because, you don't just go if you're a rider, you don't just ride to, one spot. So we kept riding and my wife didn't like it because it was too windy for her. It was blowing us all over the road.
Yeah, yesterday the winds were still 15, 20 miles an hour with some higher gusts. We got a kite out and got to do that a little bit.
Yeah, yesterday was a much better ride. We probably put 150 miles on yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah. Down to New Ulm. Have you ever been to New Ulm?
Yep.
The town was dead, but we found a place that had takeout. Got some takeout ate at a just a picnic table, and then rode back home. So it was a lot of riding. I probably got 250 miles in, maybe.
Oh, yeah, the weather was. I mean, the temperature was perfect. That wind just was. That was tough.
Yeah, it was tough.
Drives you out too.
Yeah, and it drives you out or dries you out, tires you out. Got a lot of sun too, and you did too.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, only in Minnesota can we like get sunburned at like 60 degrees out.
I know, right? This is us.
We were all out in like shorts and a t-shirt. People from Florida are like, winter coat.
Right. So what was your week like last week? What did
just working on like the CMMC mapping, some incident response stuff. So got contained, it looks like. I haven't seen since Wednesday, obviously, on the big IR we had. they got real lucky on that. Looks like so.
So tell me what happened. How'd they get lucky?
Well, we were seeing the encoded PowerShell running across the environment, and when we were able to decrypt some of it, and it was ransomware getting spread. So we were able to block that PowerShell from running it at all.
Okay.
And I mean, there's a lot of stuff for cleanup for them. Like I said, I haven't checked in since Wednesday afternoon. So, as quickly as that stuff changes, who knows where it's at right now. But
What kind of ransomware was it? Do you know?
I think we saw Emotet. The FBI had said they thought it was Maze, but we're not. Last I saw, we hadn't seen any indication of Maze on there, but we did see Emotet, which obviously would drop typically. Yeah, some of the other stuff. So I'm not sure exactly which one it was. Like I said, I haven't been super involved in that one for 4 days, 5 days. I don't even know how long. So, like I said, that changes pretty rapidly.
Do you ever find it difficult to remember what you were doing last week when we do these shows on Monday morning, and I'm trying to think like, holy crap, there was a lot of stuff last week, but I can't remember. I don't remember what I had for dinner last night.
Usually it's not too bad, but with being off and not thinking about it, definitely made it worse. I was looking at my notes. Cobalt Strike, we got their command and control framework. We found looks like their main one. So that's not usually a good thing to find on your network.
Oh, so Cobalt Strike was on their network. So the attacker planted Cobalt Strike or installed
Apparently multiple instances. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess attackers a lot of times will use the same tools that you and I use.
We've actually seen that. This is probably the third or fourth time in this year, in the last 4 or 5 months.
That you've seen Cobalt Strike being used in an attack?
Yep.
Interesting. So not very original.
I mean, but if it works.
Yeah, it's true. Why
it's a proven tool.
Yeah, I suppose. Why code something yourself if you already got a tool that works just fine?
And if the endpoint's not being protect whatever they're using isn't catching it, I mean, makes your life easier.
Yeah.
And then they use that to throw out all the other stuff that they've built.
Do I look tired today?
A little bit.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure it was, it's kind of my default. Just want to make sure I'm keeping up the, looking the way I'm supposed to look. All right. So a lot of times, it's been a really hot topic. And I think last week we talked about it too. We talked a lot about working remote or working from home. And truly, if you were around and paying attention, this has been a hot topic for quite a while. But I think since the outbreak of COVID-19, it's even more of a hot topic. It's certainly one of the top trending topics in information security. So just another take today on, what this looks like, from a future looking perspective. We can do some predictions, on this stuff. So what did work from home look like prior to COVID-19? So much has changed in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
How, on the rank of all the things that we deal with in information security, where did work from home kind of fit, if you can remember, prior to COVID-19?
I think prior, it was a much more controlled situation, right? So you had a small number of people that were doing it, so you could put a little bit more time into it, maybe, making sure that they knew what they needed to do. And usually the ones that were working from home seemed to be a little more maybe savvy.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as big a concern.
Yeah, because it was less people, right? And a lot of times those people, it seemed like, had a legitimate work from home need,
and
they were approved, and there was some
right.
vetting involved. There was more preparation for them. There was more training and awareness stuff for them. Uh,
Right. I mean, your IT staff, your security staff, you had the ability to, like it's easier to control small numbers, right? You can make sure that you have the controls in place that they get that training that you're talking about. They understand what it is versus free for all.
right. So before it was much more, and I agree with that. I think before it was much more controlled. As a CISO, it was, it was on my list of things to do, but it wasn't, top priority because it was kind of already sort of planned for and taken care
Mhm.
of. Then COVID-19 comes, all the offices shut down. Now, how our office shut down here in Minnetonka, Minnesota. We shut down our office on what, March 17th?
Yeah. Yep. That was the last day everybody got a chance to like clear out and get what they needed.
Okay. And the announcement was made what, March 16th, the day before?
Yes.
Okay. So we
Yeah.
had about what, 24 hours.
Yeah. I think was it? Yeah, it was. We talked about it the week before in SMT, so we'd already kind of come up with it and agreed that we saw it coming and announced it before the governor did.
Now, when can you recall when we saw it coming? Was it a week before? So would it have been the 9th?
Oh no, we had. I think it had been part of like the conversations for at least. I mean, we kind of had talked about it in February, I know, and kind of like interesting. We should take a look at this and see what's going on. And then in March, like the kind of that week of the 2nd and the 9th, for sure, it became a much bigger topic.
Okay, so the discussions for us started February.
Yeah, I would say informal.
Okay.
Just like let's keep an eye on this and understand what's happening.
All right. So it was a thought, a notion, something to think about. Nothing formally being planned, but something that was discussed in February. And then what, maybe a week or two before we actually closed the office, it was, all right, here's the plan, let's develop the plan, put some formalization to it.
Mhm.
What are all the considerations that we need to make? One, do people have connectivity? What things do we absolutely, do we rely on so heavily in the office? I mean, we didn't have that stuff much,
Right. Yeah.
but those are all considerations, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We had those conversations. It was a lot easier, I think, because we were set up for doing the remote work, right? With the assessments, you're remote doing those, so you by function we had to be able to work remotely. So
Right.
it definitely made our jobs easier, at least from an analyst perspective, both on consulting and tech services.
Hmm.
The biggest was more, I think, sales and the support staff that were used to coming in and how do they handle that stuff.
So all right. Because I'm just trying to think, because during this time, it was weird for me. I was like the Twilight Zone. I was on a cruise, from the
Yeah.
5th. And we were debating on whether they would even have the cruise. We figured if they were going to do the cruise, we would still go. Um, so that was March 5th through the 16th. So I came back from the cruise on the 16th, which was the same day that the ELT, the executive leadership team, decided to close the office.
Um,
And then the 17th, the office is essentially closed, which was just really weird for me because I never really came back to an office again, back then.
yeah. Yeah, you never got to. It's actually been even 2 weeks longer for you,
Yeah.
basically.
So I've been here every day in the office by myself, which is just weird. Today we have, the governor allowed, set some rules in place for the state of Minnesota on, going back to work, what people can go back to work, what people can't. You essentially can't have any customer interaction, um, limited numbers, things like that. So we have 6 people coming back to the office today. Today is, like I said, May 4th. So it's been 49 days ish, 48 days. with nobody here except for me. And now people are coming, they'll be coming back today. And I wonder how irritated I'm going to be with that.
You know, yeah,
You
you
know,
say 49 days and it just is like, wow, is that it? It reminded me I saw a tweet that was like, it doesn't matter if I die young, I always have the extra 30 years from February through April of 2020.
yeah, it's
It
just
just
crazy.
feels like it feels so much longer than that.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that was nice this weekend. I was telling my wife because we rode to, like you said, yesterday, we rode quite a bit. And when we were having lunch in New Ulm, I mean, there was nobody there, but it was kind of the first time in 6, 7 weeks where it almost felt sort of normal. Because when you're riding a motorcycle, it's not really a social event anyway, right?
Yeah.
With a bunch of people. Um, yeah, it's weird.
Well, I think that ties into the kind of coming back and working and remote and all that is how do we get back to some sense of normal without a vaccine or a treatment or, you know, how do we stay safe and still get normal?
Well, and that's always been a word for me that has been hard for me to understand from probably forever. It's just what normal means. Is normal mean, yeah, I don't even know. I mean,
Well,
because I just do what I do. And I
I think
mean,
it's different for everyone too, right? So
yeah,
that's what makes it so difficult. What's normal for you is not normal for me, and what would consider normal, you'd be like, no, that's not normal, right?
yeah.
So I think that makes it a little bit more tricky. So I think for
And that's
me,
one of the things I think that's beautiful too is your normal is different than my normal, but it's respecting each other's sort of normal. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, and we're going to talk about it, I think more, but because one of the articles mentions it, but I think one of the hardest things that getting away from work, which is right my office at home downstairs, is realize that the hardest part has been not there's been a lot of interaction, right, with videos and conferences, and we're talking all the time, but it's different than that face to face
Mm-hmm.
interaction, right? That's really been probably one of the like I had that I don't know epiphany, and probably other people have already had that or whatever, but for me it took this long of getting away and actually getting kind of separating again from work and home because it does start to blur all together. And then yeah, just like the neighbors were out and able to talk across the street, and it's not quite the same, but it was like, oh yeah, that's what to me that kind of that's normal. Like having those face to face in person interactions. You just right now you don't have them, and then
Right.
even wearing a mask to the store. I realize like how much harder it is to like interact with people. You have to like, communicate with your eyes so much more because they can't see a smile or whatever.
Yeah. All those nonverbals that you read on people's faces is really difficult to read now.
And I think for you, both of us have done like the social engineering in the past. So that's something that I'm sure you pick up on, I think, more than normal people, right? If you haven't done that type of stuff, I know Finley for sure has said things along those lines. It's been difficult when you're used to reading that and people watching it now. It's like I can't tell what's going on.
Yeah. It's definitely confusing. It's different. Um, yeah. So prior to COVID-19, there's all sorts of studies, but, one of the studies that's cited um, in the show notes the one from Forbes, which, the title of the article is Working from Home, the Future of Work. And it was interesting because I was looking for some statistics on how many people were working from home prior to COVID. And it looks like about 10 to 15% of the workforce worked from home. So they're not probably having any, I wouldn't, or very few, less for sure, disruptions or abnormalcy in their days.
Yeah, It's been interesting. One of the things that our remote workers have said is a positive out of this is we are using video for these calls now. Whereas before, we rarely used video to like when we'd have a quick call. And so like they're actually seeing a benefit from this because now everybody's remote and realizing, some of those things. So kind of interesting takeaway there.
Yeah, I think, there's pros and cons, and it's, when you look at, I guess, all of it, you weigh them against each other and, kind of figure out. I think the biggest thing for me is I like having the option, right? If I want to work from home, then I want to work from home, versus you're forced to work from home. I don't think anybody or few people, I know I don't want to be forced to do something. I want,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. And yeah, I agree. I think that's been a struggle too, right?
yeah,
Nice. I've worked from home. It's nice when kind of needed to get away from the office so that you're not getting some of those interruptions of people stopping in, especially like we're talking about like mappings and things like that where you need to be head down for hours at a time.
right.
But yeah, it's a little different when you don't have that choice.
Yeah. Because I mean, working from home, teleworking, telecommuting, whatever you want to call it, isn't anything that's new.
Mhm.
It's been around for at least the 90s.
Oh yeah,
I remember, some of the first VPNs I was using were, PPTP VPNs with, into NT, um,
dial-up modems.
yeah. And things have come a long way since then. Um, and it's taken us a long, there are lots of reasons why people, I think, don't rush more to work from home. One is certainly we're social creatures, right? Human beings are meant to be social. We're built to be social.
Hmm.
And social doesn't mean video. Social means in person, together. Uh,
Right.
we're clan people. We've always been clan people. Um, that's just the way, it's in our DNA. And I think so much of this for me feels, that's the part that feels abnormal is just part
The
of what
isolation.
yeah, I mean, part of what I need, as a human being, I'm not getting. Uh, and I'm an introvert, so like I'm supposed to be more comfortable with this than other people, but like
Though I think what one of the other things that I've realized is, yeah, I'm more of an introvert, but you do from if you have that close knit group, even as an introvert, I still get like some energy from
yeah,
those close people, right? Like seeing them and like you and the other members of the team, it's not getting that. It's like, this is different.
yeah, something's missing.
It, I think the opportunity to come out of this on the other side being a better person, more aware of yourself and others, and like there's just a huge opportunity to grow from this. I just hope we make it through to be able to execute on that.
Right. Yeah. And I hope that these things don't linger. Some of the things that I think are unhealthy long term, I hope they don't linger on, because I've heard things like people will never shake hands again in business. It's like, I mean, we did prior to COVID. COVID isn't like the first first sickness that we've ever had. And I understand that this is, much more, you know, viral and much more, harmful to people. But are we really not going to do certain social norms that we've always done just because we're afraid of another pandemic, in 100 years from now,
Yeah,
whenever it happens? The Spanish flu is the last kind of big pandemic. I know that there's been, SARS and
right.
Ebola, and other things, but I mean, I hope because we human beings have such a short-term memory. I don't know if you remember after 9/11, I really enjoyed the fact that the America came together. There was so much patriotism. There was so much togetherness. It didn't matter if you were Democrat or Republican. We were together. We were one. And then our short-term memory, right? It wasn't long before we're back bickering and fighting at each other and just being stupid. And then, this thing happens. I hope we have a short-term memory on a lot of the things that we have here, and maybe just a long-term memory on some of the healthy things, but I don't know. It's just going to be weird.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm really hopeful that long term we as, I mean, just people in general, it's not just the US, everyone like this realize that, yeah, we're in this together. And
Yeah.
what do we benefit from all that bickering?
But you know what? We're right back at it again. I mean, right when the pandemic first kind of broke out, and I'm not going to get political. We'll bring it back in here in a minute. But the politicians, right when the pandemic started kind of becoming a real thing in the US, you saw the left and the right kind of coming together more.
Yeah, it's
It
already,
lasted for like a couple weeks, and then it's back to like just BS.
oh, it's almost even worse, but yeah.
So irritating. And then, yeah, all right, I'm gonna go. I'm done.
I'm like, yeah, yeah.
We have another, I haven't told you yet, but there's another podcast coming. It's called the Security Blank Show.
Nice.
Yeah, and you can fill in the blank with the S word, and that's the one that's coming. It's going to be me. Hello, Chris Roberts.
Mm.
And so we both have a tendency to want to speak more. Like there are a lot of things I want to say on this podcast that I can't. I'm just like,
yeah, I'm with you.
So this is going to be one of those ones that's going to have the explicit logo on it, so.
Very cool.
It's not going to be raunchy, right? We're not going to be purposely raunchy and dumb. It's just, we're going to be able to say what we want to say, get it off our chest and say, and if a swear word comes out, and so be it, I'm excited to do that because there's so many times, man, when you're one of the things about being, and you are too, right? You're a leader here. You represent the company. And so I want to say things, but I also don't want it to reflect poorly on the rest of you guys and what we're trying to do from a mission.
Yeah, it's always in the back of your mind when you're saying something. What is this? How's this going to reflect? Yeah, it definitely filters what you say.
Yeah. So it's going to be an unfiltered. We'll have you on as a guest, and you can come and be mean with us.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So what happened because of COVID-19? I think what I saw was a mass exodus from the office to home, and a lot of it happened with poor planning. I know that you mentioned we were starting to talk about this in February. I wonder how many other organizations did that, who had that leadership. And then we're a company that's a tech company primarily, so it's not disruptive for us to go from here to there. But what about companies that, one, didn't prepare well, didn't see it coming, and two, just aren't normally set up as part of their business to be able to handle it well?
Yeah. I think that's why we're seeing an increase in incidents and breaches, right? I mean, we talked about the BitSite report with malware on home networks 3 to 7 times higher than corporate networks, and you've
Right.
got companies that were like, we don't have computers for you to use your personal one, dial in.
Right.
Now so I think they were caught off guard for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of companies, more the old school thinking, have fought against it for a long time. I know I've worked at places that were like super against telework or remote work, even though it's like, there's some times where you can be far more productive.
Right.
And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how those companies adapt to that, because there's going to be other companies that are like, hey, this worked, do it. And now you're going to be competing for employees who maybe want to work from home saying, nope, not going to do it, versus, yeah, you can work wherever as long as your work gets done.
Right. Yeah. So here's some statistics, and some things that I found for, write-ups about what happened because of COVID, and it gives us kind of a glimpse into what the experts or what people are thinking the future looks like in terms of remote work, after COVID-19. One, the Forbes the title of the article is working from home the future of work? They cite that they did a study, MIT did a study, 25,000 American workers. They found that 34% of them who had been employed 4 weeks earlier say they are currently working from home. So those are new work at home employees, essentially. And combine that with the 15% who were already working from home pre-COVID, you're at about 49, so about half of the workforce right now are remote workers. And two-thirds of those half are brand new work at home workers. You're right. So this is all new to them. It's new to the company. It's, if you didn't plan well, it's, so it's pretty significant. One person from the Brookings Institute, Catherine Guyot and Isabel Sawhill, they wrote that this is a massive experiment in telecommuting, which is weird because telecommuting is not new. Why would we still be experiencing or experimenting, 20, 30 years later?
Well, because it's that select few versus can an organization function with a remote workforce versus one or two people or a small percentage.
Right. And I think it's, in some respects, it's myopic management that you didn't see the benefits that you could leverage from having remote workers, for one. And two, the big reason why I think a lot of companies didn't already go here more in bigger numbers, at least as a flexibility thing, right? All the people that we employ here at FR Secure and Security Studio are adults.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go with it.
Right. And so as adults, we trust you to make good choices about what's best for you in terms of work-life balance. I think everybody here knows sort of what's expected of them, what work they're supposed to be doing. Get your work done, and I could care less where you do it. You could do it on a beach in the Bahamas for all I care.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as the quality of the work is good, it's on time, customers are happy. Especially like writing or some of that stuff. If it's nice out, go play with your kids on a Friday afternoon and then do the work
right
that evening. I don't care, as long as you get it done in time, high quality, customers are happy. What more do I need?
Well, that's the frustrating part, right? I mean, trusting your employees, and they pick up on that, right? I mean, if I started to not trust you, Brad, I think you'd pick up on it pretty quick before I'd ever have to say anything, right?
And there's, and that bullet point next with the Gartner research, the 76% of the top employee complaint is concerns about from managers about productivity or engagement. And I was reading an article about how the nanny software, right, the monitoring software has exploded in this, as people are like, well, if they don't move their mouse in 15 seconds, they're idle and it automatically turns. I'm like, oh my God, I would never work in that place.
So let's put this, just this point right here, let's put a security piece on this. So, and I'm just playing, sort of into this storyline. I don't trust you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm part of the 76%. That's 3/4 of their biggest complaint is the fact that management essentially doesn't trust them.
Right.
Right. So I don't trust you. And now I'm going to make you do some mandatory information security training on how you can protect me as your employer. How receptive are you going to be to that?
I'm going to be like, click, move my mouse. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Yay.
I mean, it's just, you set up a really crappy environment for collaborative learning and protection.
There's no loyalty.
No.
Like, why would I care? If I know you don't trust me, why would I try? Like, what's the point? What benefit do I get?
Yeah, it just compounds my problem as, in a company. If I were a CISO, it would just makes my job that much harder.
Yeah.
To get you engaged, because we all know that people are the biggest risk. Well, that means, I need to work with you to teach you good security habits or, at least create an environment where you will want to form good security habits.
You know,
Um,
I wouldn't, I mean, well, and then you've got, if it were me, if somebody asked me, should we put in this software that turns on the camera automatically if they go idle during work hours? No,
well, and that's a big
nobody knows
part
what
of
you're going to
security.
find.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't want you seeing in my house. I'm sorry, employer, whoever you are.
right.
There's not enough money you can pay me for you to see the things that my home, I work from home a lot. My home is my safe place.
Right.
It's the place where I do have privacy. It's the place where I don't invite hackers into my living room every day. That's why I'm not big on IoT. Uh,
Hmm.
it's just where in the world do I have a safe place?
Right. Right. And what's interesting to me is like they're saying, oh, if you haven't done it, right, for whatever, we're going to keep track of activity. What office environment do people not walk around, shoot, talk with each other, congregate, fantasy football, whatever it is? You know that they're not productive 8 hours a day every day. Like
Right.
there's tons of studies that show that, but then suddenly you're expecting that when they're remote.
Yeah. So it sets up a really difficult environment for security, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, so combine this with the anxiety and everything else you have coming from COVID and all the things going on in the world and the political BS that's going on. Combine that with the fact that my employer doesn't trust me. Combine that with the fact that I no longer have social interaction. According to another, statistic and study, 19% of remote workers called loneliness their biggest struggle with working from home. Uh, so at least 19% in all of this are also dealing with loneliness and isolation. Uh, it's not a good environment at all. It's not conducive at all to information security. I could give two craps about, you've got this setting set up and that setting set up on your workstation and all this other crap. That's not the concern. The concern is the person sitting behind the keyboard,
Mm-hmm.
typing things, clicking things. They're not thinking, their mind's not straight. Uh, and it's because a lot of it is because of COVID. I understand that, but also a lot of it is because of the way employers are treated at home.
Right. There's a huge difference in, forcing somebody to be monitored and checking in with them and saying, hey, how are you doing? Everything okay? Right. Versus we're going to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do.
It's a terrible, terrible culture for security.
Yeah.
Good culture for security is a culture where people are on the same page. People want
Mm-hmm.
to do the right things. People are vested in it. People feel like a family. Uh, this is
Yeah.
just, it's terrible news for where we're currently at. And if we're going to go here and continue to go here post COVID, this is a bad thing, man.
Yeah. From a security perspective, there's going to have to be major changes in how the infrastructure is set up for an organization, the training and awareness, just how do we handle
Right.
this sudden change? Because very few companies were set up for it.
Well, even if you're set up for it, there's a way to do it. And like, you never want to come, in my opinion, you never want to come off like you don't trust your employees. You want to
Yeah.
come off like you trust your employees. And not just that, but I love my employees.
Well,
I want to do what's best for you, what's best for your family, what's best for you, because I know that if I cater to you, that you will produce the best work possible, right? Because you want to, not because you have to.
and think of the risk for an organization for having to find, losing an employee because you didn't trust them, who maybe was, had been bought into the culture and wanted to be part of it. Now you got to find somebody new and hope that they're willing to buy in and be part of the security program when you've basically told them from the start you don't trust them.
Right.
Like, that is a risk from a security perspective.
Exactly. So I think right now our remote work, beyond just the technical things that go into, pushing people out of the office to work from home quickly and preparing all the technology and laptops and whatever you're using, VPNs and all of that, and Zoom and whatever. There's so many things there, but also don't lose track of the number one risk, which is people. You have to create an environment for people to feel comfortable, an environment where people can think clearly, an environment where people want to do the right thing. And so according to that Forbes study that I read, we haven't done that. We've totally missed, and I'm saying not we as in FR Secure and Security Studio. I think we've done a really good job, and I credit you and the rest of the management team for doing that. But according to that, the rest of the business environment is screwed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a terrible place to try to implement security controls and collaboration.
Yeah.
Another, article cited is, some may work from home permanently. So when you start looking forward looking, according to Gartner, 25% of the 317 CFOs who were surveyed expect 10% of their employees will remain remote. 17% of those 317 expect 20% will remain remote. 4% expect 50% will remain remote. And 2% expect 50% will be permanently working from home after the pandemic. So a lot of these employees, so we've pushed them all home. Many of them will not come back to the office.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're operating under the previous article, the Forbes article, in this manner,
We better figure something out.
It's not cool at all.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years.
Right. Another article, working from home has its troubled history. I think that was an interesting article from The Guardian. It sort of explains a little bit about, teleworking, remote work has been something, in our industry for 20 plus 30 years. And so, but there's a reason why we didn't go there in mass like we should have. And I think there's some good stuff in that article about some of the flaws in having people work from home. But I think a lot of it is mental, and management style more so than anything else.
Yeah. I think, ultimately you're going to have more a mix where people will have that choice and take advantage of it more often. And again, it's weird when you have happy employees, your productivity goes up. Weird.
And they're more secure.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're bought in. They're
right.
Well, they have if they're happy and they like where they work, they want to protect it. I mean, it goes hand in hand.
100%. Yeah. Culture is so critical to, good information security. It just becomes part of how you operate, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't know if you've ever lent out tools before, but when I lend tools to some of my friends who they don't protect my tools, and I already know this before I give it to them, right? So it's not like a big surprise. But when I lend a tool to a friend, I almost don't expect them to protect that tool as much as I would if it were in my garage.
Oh, yeah. Most people don't do that, right? I mean, it's not their thing. Same exact concept.
Right. So if I make my garage your garage, meaning I invite my friend, hey man, these are our tools. We're in this, you know what I mean? Then it becomes kind of different because they'll treat my tools better.
There's a stake in it, right? Like the feel ownership of it.
That's so important, man. All right. So another thing, another article, because I did cite a lot of articles in the show notes this morning. But all really good. I think we found a really good central theme that we're keying in on, which is just how do you motivate employees to want to be more secure, when they're working from home, and how not to do it. I think we already hit pretty hard on one of the ways not to do it.
Yeah, This last one was really interesting, that last bullet point.
Yeah, 60% of people report is either being productive or more productive when they're working from the office.
But 76% of the other one said, hey, managers don't trust me to be as productive. Whereas it's like, okay, there's clearly that disconnect somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. I think when you get your, sort of studies and news from different places, because one of the things I've noticed, over the years in information security is most of the studies you read from our industry are biased.
Mm-hmm.
The study was sponsored by somebody who's trying to sell you something,
Right.
so those results are always going to sort of be slanted and bent towards that point. So I think that's why it's really important to get different articles from different, and compare them with each other. But I think the central theme here is more people, I don't know how many more people, but more people will work from home after the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't like being micromanaged.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to produce really terrible results.
Trust your employees to treat them like adults. And gosh, I've had really good success with that for as long as I've been in management.
Well, if I didn't trust you, why the hell did I hire you?
Right.
I mean, what the hell's going on?
Right.
We had a choice on who we hire and who we don't hire. And if we hire somebody that's why the number one thing on our core values is we tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whatever. I guess it's frustrating to know that there are so many companies out there that must have really, really crappy cultures.
Yeah. Well, and again, regardless of what percentage of people go back or stay home, I mean, it's going to be a significant number that are now remote.
Right.
More, right? I mean, even if it goes from, what was it, 10 or 15% to 25%, to get 10% of the workforce, you've basically doubled
Right.
the amount of remote workers. I mean, you better start preparing on how to handle this. Do we give them their own devices? Do we have them set up with VPN? How do we do this and start looking now? Don't wait, because it's not gonna suddenly be like, okay, everybody goes back.
Right.
Should be looking at these things now.
Yeah. So we got a lot more to go through. So we got to kind of pick it up a little bit too. But yeah, I mean, culture, and you can't fix culture with technology, right? So the way I manage people, there's no technology, there's no VPN that makes it better.
No.
So what about information security? There's no shortage, certainly in our industry, when you look at, and a lot of these things truly are trying to get you, I think, at some point to buy stuff. Like if you look at the remote working security or safety and security from Kaspersky, the number one tip is to get antivirus.
Yep.
Well, I wonder why. It's Kaspersky and they have
Right.
antivirus. So, but there are lots of different things, information security tips, right? Security tips for working from home, WFH, because we need more acronyms. Malwarebytes has one, Kaspersky has one, ZDNet has one, CI.security has one, and all good tips, right?
Mm-hmm.
In general, I wouldn't say number one for me would be to run antivirus. It'd certainly be something I would run. But, whatever. There's all sorts of tips, no shortage of those things, which I think it's good to show, probably makes people confused a little bit.
Oh yeah. Like it's almost, we already have people that don't understand and
Right.
feel intimidated, and now all of a sudden they're just getting inundated with all these additional things.
Right. So no shortage of that, but I think to get at the root of the problem, which is to build better security habits, or at least help people want to form better security habits, we're creatures of habit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the approach we took, with S2Me and S2Team, and we could, S2Me. So if you want to know what that is, https://s2me.io. We released this in 2019. It was well ahead of COVID. And I think the point was, And the reason why we created it was to help people build better security habits at home, where they're more motivated to build better security habits. Because at home, I have myself to protect. I have my money to protect. I have my privacy to protect. I have my family to protect. So let's give people a simple, it's not quick, 10 to 15 minutes, a simple information security risk assessment that I can do at home that will produce a score that I can measure myself. And I don't need to know all the details of what goes into the score. Just know that a low score is a bad thing.
Mhm.
High score is a gooder thing. So that's what we built the S2Me for. It's a personal information security risk assessment. And now it's built, version 1 was last year. Version 2 was released last week. Version 2.1 will be coming very soon after that. Every time you have a major release, we like to do limited releases, right? Because there's,
Bug fix.
yeah. But that's how we're trying to motivate people to work better at home. So if I have a crappy, I almost said a bad word. If I have a crappy culture, so I'm part of that 76%, I've already got that culture. Fixing the culture is going to be difficult. But what if I gave them a personal information security risk assessment tool, not because I want you to protect the company better, but because I want you to protect your family better? Because I love you. Protect your family better. Your family is under attack, period. It just is. That's the way it works. And the more stuff you keep adding at home, the more IoT you keep adding at home, the more cool gadgets, the worse it's going to get for you. So here, take this S2Me. It's free. It'll always be free. It's a consumer tool. It's meant to help you, like I said, assess where you're at, and then what do I do to build good security habits? Now, the way the organization can leverage this to make their security better is through the S2Team tool. And what the company sees is I never violate the privacy. I never see Brad's individual results because Brad's individual results are for Brad.
Yeah. Yeah. And
What I do see is I see the population's results so that I can give the population good information, security tips, tricks, tools, training, so that they can protect their families better. And then I can leverage that to make my company better.
mhm.
Right. And so that's why we built the S2Me and the S2Team to get over the hump of all of this remote work stuff. Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think what I've seen, and obviously we're sister companies, so it's different. Is you with the team, you get to see where your people, like you said, are struggling. And okay, from a security perspective, now I know, gosh, our people stink at breach and incident response. They don't know what to do, or they stink at backing up their data. Well, if I know that from a security perspective, now I know to say, okay, I need to look at our backups, make sure that we're getting this stuff. Are they saving it where it needs to be saved, so that from a company perspective, we're not losing data because they're saving it locally and their laptop dies, right? Or they don't know how to report an incident or identify it, or they don't know what to do. We need to focus on that area. So you do get actionable results out of this that are areas your employees are going to be like, oh, okay.
Right. And the difference is this benefits the employee more than it benefits the company.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can't use this to punish Brad. You know what I mean? Because I don't see your individual results.
Right.
Instead, I can say, hey, here's some things that we can do or provide, like a password manager, for instance. Maybe my user population really sucks at password management. Maybe it's a good idea then for me to buy an enterprise password management tool and deploy it to all my employees and allow them to use it personally, or get a separate tool and allow them to have, password management at home. Whatever it is, there's so many different things in the S2Me that I think can really be leveraged by organizations and then just think how much better it is for the culture for me to give you things to help you to protect your kids or your family better. And that's it. No strings attached,
Yeah.
So, and I do encourage anybody, anytime, go out there, take the S2Me. Again, it's https://s2me.io. Free, always free. If you want to not give us your registration information, just put dummy data in there. We even give you instructions on how to do that.
Right.
The point is not to collect your data, not to monetize your data, not to do anything else, not to sell you anything. Truly, the point is for you to protect yourself at home better. And the way I benefit from that, one, I sleep better at night knowing that I'm helping people.
Mm-hmm.
We're all connected. There might be 15 hops between my house and yours, but we're connected somehow. Your crappy security habits do affect me at my house one way or another, or they cost me more money in bank fees or whatever else, right? So when you say that we're all in this together, truly, we are all in this together. We're all connected to the same damn internet.
Yep.
When you get ransomed, I pay more for insurance premiums, right? I mean, there's just so many different ways that I pay more because of your bad security habits. If I can help you create better security habits, I sleep better at night knowing that your family's better protected, and I benefit, from all kinds of different things.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So we've got some other things, still on the show notes. Maybe we'll just get to those maybe next week, but real quick, loyal listener, Jason Dance, he was one of the people I gave a shout out to last week. Been I love the stuff he does, so it's kind of cool watching him and seeing what he's doing. But he sent us an article. It's from consumerreports.org. And the title of the article is, "It's not just Zoom. Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, and WebEx have privacy issues too."
What?
Yeah, right? That's what we've been saying, people.
It's nice to see that kind of getting put out there in a mainstream kind of publication, though.
Yes. Man, the media, my God, they do not do us any justice at all. So anyway, it's a good article, good link there. So Jason, thanks for sharing that. Absolutely agree 100%. If you're looking for some ironclad silver bullet kind of web conferencing technology that's just never going to have any bugs or privacy issues, not going to find it.
Yep.
And if you want to go with, Blue Jeans is one, that's pretty good. It's a good product, but so is Zoom. The reason why Zoom's getting attacked more than Blue Jeans, it's just like the old Apple Microsoft thing, right? You saw all the attacks and exploits at Microsoft, and then Mac started getting really popular. And you started seeing a lot of exploits there too. So attackers work off of, return on investment, right? If there's a better return on the investment in attacking Zoom, I'm going to attack Zoom. But that doesn't mean that Zoom's less secure. It doesn't mean that Zoom is, a bad product. So there you go. Thank you, Jason, for sharing that. The link is in evanfrancine.com. If you look at the episode 78 show notes, you'll find the link there. Really good read on that. I had 4 news articles to talk about, and I think I'll just mention them. We don't have to talk about them necessarily. The first is newly discovered Android malware steals banking passwords and 2-factor authentication codes. That comes from Tripwire. Android is more susceptible to malware. I mean, that's just the way it works. So if you're going to be using Android, it's just like any technology you're going to use, learn how to use it. Learn how to use it securely. Android is more susceptible to malware because it has a more open ecosystem for getting malware onto your Android. It doesn't mean that that's bad either. It's just a different architecture that you need to account for. So good article there. Just be aware of it. If you're not, most people probably should be running some kind of anti-malware.
Yes.
Antivirus on your Android.
Please do.
What?
Please do.
Yeah, please. National emergency. The next article is from InfoSecurity magazine. It's national emergency as Trump bans foreign power grid kit. So there you go. If it's made outside of the United States, there are certain risks, I guess, that are being, certainly in today's political climate, right? Interesting read. I don't know how much you can really take away for your own benefit there, but I just thought it was interesting.
It was.
Yeah. Two more. Fake email campaign demanding ransom in cryptocurrency. Surprise, surprise. ehackingnews.com has this article. Yeah. So just because you receive an email saying you're being ransomed or you are ransomed or whatever doesn't mean you go pay the cryptocurrency. Maybe talk to somebody first. You can certainly reach out to security people and ask them before you just go and rush off to pay something. That's obviously much, much easier for the attacker if all they have to do is send you an email.
No kidding.
But that does happen. Be careful. The last one, which I thought was interesting. I'm sort of, but this one was, it's sort of biased because it is a sponsored study. It's from helpnetsecurity.com. The title of the article is Consumers Will Opt for Competitors After a Single Ransomware-Related Service Disruption. All right. So if you have competitors, it's probably good to protect yourself from ransomware. And you won't be able to protect yourself 100% from getting infected, right? But
No.
Can you get back up and running quick enough to where you don't have a service disruption that your customers will notice or care about? I mean, if I'm paying for a service and I can't get my service, yeah, I'm probably looking somewhere else.
Yep.
I mean, why am I paying you?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's it. Okay, so wrapping up, lots of things. I really enjoyed the conversation. Brad, I talked a lot more than, because I was trying to kind of keep things moving faster.
Yeah. No, it's good.
We could have talked for hours on this. I loved it. Lots of things. Episode 78 is almost in the can. Brad, you got any shout outs for anybody?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to change it up a little bit and give a shout out to my daughters for their hard work with school and helping with Zach. And I know it's been stressful for them at, 14 and 12. It's a tough time to not be able to see your friends. So they've been doing a great job and keeping up. So I'm going to give them a shout out. They don't listen, but still.
Well, since you're doing that, I'm going to give a shout out to my daughter too. She has really grown up this week. Just this week in particular, I took her out driving yesterday, and I'm just proud of her, man. She stepped up. She's working out. She's doing stuff around the home. I'm like, my God, what happened to my daughter?
Yeah.
So I get you, brother. Shout outs to our daughters. Daughters everywhere, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
All right. Huge thank you to our listeners. We love your encouragement. Every time we get a message, that just says, hey, I found this thing that was really helpful or whatever. That stuff just encourages us to continue. Everybody needs encouragement. So we love that. We also love your advice. And we don't take it lightly. All our listeners are great. We appreciate you. Keep the questions and feedback coming. Send things always if you want. You can get us on LinkedIn. You can send us things by email at unsecurity@protonmail.com. If you're the social type, I'm at Evan Francine. It's EVANFRANCEN. And Brad is at Brad Nye, BRADNIGH on Twitter. And that's it. So have yourself a fantastic week.